what's up, guys? This is Andrew Smersek with Combat Training, here with my lovely lady Ashley. We're going to be doing a review on Tactical Responses Immediate Action Medical. We took the class about a year ago, and we should have done our review earlier, but we're getting to it now. A lot of stuff has come down, including we're about to have a baby, so kind of made making videos frustrating for us. But,
very emotional.
But it was her first medical class, and for myself, I had done combat lifesaver in the Marine Corps, and gotten to talk to the corpsman about different medical stuff while I was in. But I still got a ton out of this class. The big thing with immediate action medical is from the perspective more so of what would you do, in the civilian world as far as trauma went. I think the first big thing is when they break down, the algorithm of how they teach taking care of someone. The first thing is bad guys, right? The 5 Bs. First thing is bad guys. And for instance, when we're putting on tourniquets, we're keeping our head up. We're not sitting there looking at them I'd always practice is other people are helping you and you're in there working on the tourniquet. Another big thing that I learned there, that I was I can't believe so many people don't know this. And that still, when I talk to veterans of different branches that have medical trainings, how to reset the tourniquet for practice after you use it the first time. Because for a while, I didn't even like cat tourniquets. I didn't like windlass tourniquets. I was like, nope, screw that. You got to turn it to me damn time. So that's just because we never were taught properly how to reset them. So they did the best job teaching tourniquets that I've seen out of anywhere. Baby, for you, one thing we were talking about a little bit ago is every time I take a class, it's very inspiring. Why don't you hit on that?
So I've taken quite a few different classes, not necessarily medical classes. This is the only medical class I've taken so far, which every time I go and take a class at Tactical Response, I leave there feeling pumped up, and then also I want to learn more. That was so cool. I want to go take this class now. I want to do this. I want to do that. And I've taken other classes where I didn't get that feeling. I was oh, that was cool. Yeah. But after every single Tactical Response class I've taken, I've been I don't know enough yet. But then also I'm there's that hunger to learn more after being there.
Right, absolutely. And that's one thing I've heard James Yeager talk about before is okay, if your your wife or girlfriend isn't so much into the shooting thing, bring them to immediate action medical, and then they'll see, oh, it's not a bunch of people screaming at you. They're cool people and they're teaching you, and then they'll want to get into the other stuff. So I think with what we were talking about, what she was saying with it being inspiring, I think that's a great thing if you're trying to bring your significant other into training. And also, I will definitely say too, I feel the same way every time I leave class. That I feel very inspired. It's every time I take a real good class, I'm okay, I thought I knew this stuff, and that there was this other stuff to learn, but then I learn a little bit more, but I realize how much more there is, because you can only get so much just in one class or just watching YouTube videos and stuff. So. Yeah, I really like that point. Now, I think the scenarios versus lectures was something else you were talking about.
Yeah, so I'm really shy and for example, being in school, you watch a whole lecture and you're I got it. And then you go to take the test or something, and then you absolutely bomb it because you did not have it, You didn't put in the repetitions to fully understand it. So that's one thing I really like that they do is they do a ton of reps of I can't tell you how many times we put on tourniquets during that class. But one thing I like is I am very shy. I will sit in the back and not be a part of things unless I'm forced to. So I really liked the scenarios and how they threw you into it. It made me really uncomfortable, which is awesome because you only grow when you're outside of your comfort zone. So I love that they do that, and it just
Yeah, so there are lecture portions to the class, but you are on your feet a lot, and I would say it's a pretty damn fun class,
Yeah.
right? Like getting up and actually doing the stuff. As far as like one thing when I was in the Marine Corps is doing the packing the wounds and stuff. Like we did a little bit, but it wasn't so much. Like straight up, I feel like I got more reps at tactical response than I did anywhere else. Actually, packing wounds and doing stuff besides tourniquets. We did that a lot, but the rest of the stuff, I got more reps there at tactical response. Also, with scenarios like working with other people, right?
Yeah, because if I just practice on myself, for example, I really like the rats, and using the rats tourniquet on myself, my arms aren't that big, so I can wrap it around like 5 times and it's super easy to get it tight. But then being thrown into scenarios where, for example, I'm applying a tourniquet to a man that's on the ground, I've learned that it's a lot harder to get it on a man's leg that's laying on the ground than it is someone my size.
Yeah, like getting the experience of actually putting the stuff on someone else.
Yeah.
Right.
And the different body types and like working with that.
Yeah, and like going back to like the lecture versus scenarios, like we've watched the immediate action medical DVD several times, and actually I'm going to put it on again tonight. Kayla, who was one of the instructors, Kayla and it was Jerry that were teaching the class. Kayla did that DVD, and like I was watching, I was like, God damn, like this is some of the best examples I have ever seen. Like as far as demonstrating what the wounds look like. How to actually apply the aid and everything like that. But still, even watching it, you don't get everything out of just watching the DVD. You should be on libertv.com and subscribe or be a premium member there so you can watch the DVDs, but still come to class. Like it's a good refresher going back and watching that stuff, and maybe you'll pick up on another nuance that you may have missed before every time. But you still gotta go to class to get that proper practice. I think working with others was one of the things we're talking about. It is awkward.
Yeah.
Going up to someone that you barely know and being like, all right, now I'm gonna work on you.
Yeah, like I said, I'm really shy with like touching people and like, but being like, you have to do it. Like that's part of the class. That's how you're gonna learn, is by doing it to people.
Yeah, and at that time it was 27 people in that class. So the other cool thing is if you take this class, they're like they don't sell as many tickets to this class as they do everything else, because everyone wants to do gun stuff, and not as many people want to do medical stuff. So I have one of my friends, the guys that prepared Patriot, it was like 2 people with Jerry for 2 days. Like, can you imagine how much knowledge they were able to soak out of him just doing that? I think it was them or Max Pat, I forget. But may have been Max Pat, I forget. Anyways, working with other people, and then also with the scenarios too, you get put in situations where, like for me, one big thing I learned is that I was prone to helping people in situations where it would end up actually getting me hurt. So there are some times where it's like, hey, it does not make sense for you to do this. And then other times you'll be, you'll have a scenario where you're trying to help someone, and then another guy's role playing where they come up and they're attempting to help you, but purposefully doing the wrong things, kind of like what would happen in the real world. Now, if you imagine how many people have talked about how their belt is a tourniquet, or how they'll use tampons to pack a wound, like things that really aren't going to work well. And a lot of the medical myths in there.
Yeah.
That they cover. Also, gloves. Like, never practice putting on gloves to protect ourselves before you apply aid to someone. And that was a great thing to get the reps of too, is actually protecting yourself before you go help someone.
Yeah, it's easy. It's really easy to want to just throw yourself in and be like, I'm gonna apply the tourniquet right now. But then you're like, oh, I didn't put my gloves on.
Yeah.
I have AIDS now. Like.
Yeah. So if you imagine you never learned that, and you think you're doing the right thing, and then you end up, getting some blood-borne pathogen and then passing that on to your loved one. That would be terrible. Let's see. people too big for you to help?
Oh, I learned that, like, as far as getting off the X, like, I might really want to go to help you, for example, but I have a really hard time lifting and moving you. Like, I don't think I could move you.
Yeah, like, she went to state for Olympic weightlifting, but she's like, I need to ask for help for him.
Yeah. And, like, learning that it's okay to do that. Like, you can ask for people around you, be like, hey, you do this, you do this, you do this. Like, you can be spreading out the...
Yeah, taking control of the situation. Like, another thing that I had never practiced before, but we practiced in these scenarios was, making a 911 call, right? That's something that, like, people under stress they struggle just to dial 911. Now, you imagine maybe there's a gunfight, maybe a car accident, whatever, different things can hurt people. But you're trying to fix a dude while someone's freaking out, and you're on the phone with 911. So actually getting the reps of practicing that was awesome. Like, one of the coolest classes I've ever seen, honestly. Yeah, it was like before when we took fighting pistol, we came back from Meat Action Medical and the fight. You gotta take the fight too, like take the full trifecta. But we had signed up for fighting pistol and advanced fighting pistol. Then when we were talking with James Yeager, he was like, dude, you gotta do a Meat Action Medical on the fight. And I was like, well, I want, I've done medical, I want to do this and that. He's like, gotta take it. And I was like, all right. So then I switched from advanced fighting pistol to Meat Action Medical, and I'm super happy I did.
Yeah.
Like, I still want to take advanced fighting pistol. I'm actually about to take fighting pistol again, and then take advanced, and then I want to do tactical instructor later, and then along with like fighting shotgun, a bunch of other classes. But he was right. Like, doing the trifecta, taking fighting pistol, immediate action medical, and the fight. If you're hesitant towards doing like immediate action medical or getting medical training because you're like, oh, I have prior training, just like ask yourself right now, like, your loved one, like, what would you do if they had arterial bleeding or they had a broken leg? Like, how are you going to get them to a safe location and make sure that they're going to be okay? What would you do if your loved one, they got cut in the belly and their intestines are pouring out? Or what would you do for your loved one if they took an impact or a shot or whatever, and you see that their trachea is moving over to the side and they're saying it feels like someone's sitting on their chest? Like, if you can't answer these questions like perfectly, exactly, like with clarity, then you definitely need more practice. And even if you can, you're still going to pick up on more while you're there. Like, another cool thing, and I don't want to like give away stuff from the class, but like crazy thing that I learned was using a mylar blanket, like the shiny reflective blanket that you use to keep people warm, but using that as a litter, right? There's stuff that we haven't heard of before, things that we haven't thought of. In addition to that too is like some of the stories that they talk about. Like, you mentioned one before, right? Oh, yeah, checking people, right?
Yeah, like, I wouldn't have really thought to go around their whole body. Like, if you haven't had training, you don't know what to do. You don't know what to look for. So, for example, if I came up on you and you had a gunshot wound in the belly, I wouldn't think to check the back of you. Like, under stress, I'd be like, oh, there's the wound, I'm gonna handle it, kind of thing. And
they, well, let's like not give away the story, but like they got specific stories in there that are relevant to that, like things that have actually happened. Not so much, because in like the shooting, the training world, we a lot of times kind of live in this what if realm where we create certain scenarios, and lots of us that, like, you guys are watching this channel, the guys that train attack response, we're like, hey, what's the worst case scenario? Whereas a lot of other people always say, well, if this happened, I'd do this, and they create a best case scenario that will not go as planned.
Yeah, that's the thing with the best case scenario. Like, before I came into all of this, I didn't really think about, like, oh, the ambulance not getting there right on time? Like, what are you talking about? You call them and they're like, there. Like, that's just what happens. Like,
well, not in Florida when there's a hurricane and they suspend all emergency services. So,
but no, it's really easy to stay stay in your mind in the best case scenario when it's like, no, in reality, it could take the ambulance 20 minutes to get there. It could take them an hour. You don't know.
Yeah, you got no idea. And it's on you. It's like, that Jay Gibson quote that I love so much. Whoever you want showing up to all of your emergencies, just be that guy. Have that mindset, those tactics, skills, and gear. Be that infinite badass who can take care of it, because you're there, and you're gonna be there before anyone else, right? So, and it's on you. As a dad, and I also think about it at this level where it's like, I would never want something to happen to my children because I had a failure that I chose not to be prepared for. So, super important you take this class, guys. And as far as I've seen, best medical training that I've heard of, and, looking at different stuff of what people are offering, not saying anything else is bad or whatever. Take everything you can get, of course, but they're a fucking awesome medical class. So, anything else you want to add, baby?
Nope, I think we went over everything.
Okay.
Highly recommend.
Yeah. And there's one quote here, because I was looking through my notes from the class that I wrote down from Uncle Jerry, was, everyone is trying to reach the top of the mountain. They're just on different paths, right? So just make sure you're on that path. Make sure you're going to the top of the mountain. Make sure you're doing the right things and getting trained. Okay, guys? All right. Thank you for watching. Remember that training saves lives.